Alright, I'm going to try to make a Common Lisp video now. Common Lisp is a programming language. So this is a search engine I've been trying out. Just some new one I found out about. I don't think it's new, I just never knew about it. So I'm going to see like if it's any good for searching for Lisp stuff. There's an environment that I'm going to use at first called Portacle. It's made by Shinmera. It has another name too. It's like Shirakumo or something. Oh, probably should just wait till I read it somewhere before I say what it is. But or maybe that's his website or whatever company. Who knows? So this is just a portable environment, a little IDE for Common Lisp. Common Lisp is really a little, I would say, more complicated to get into because there's so many different implementations of Common Lisp. There are so many variants of a Lisp that you might even not be messing with Common Lisp. You could be messing with one of the other hundreds or thousands of Lisps out there. Also, there's another popular Lisp-like language called Scheme. And the same thing, it's going to have a bunch of different implementations. So when you first start out, you're like, what should I even be learning? I'm just going to go with Common Lisp. It's the magical fantasy Kool-Aid drinking language. And so I drank the Lisp Kool-Aid and I'm going with Common Lisp. So this guy Shinmera makes this thing, Portacle, just a little thing with a bunch of stuff combined together to get up and running real quick. So it's going to have Emacs. Emacs is the editor, the text editor. And it's going to have an implementation of Common Lisp called SBCL. I think it's Steel Bank Common Lisp. Maybe because like Lisp was used in steel manufacturing and banking industry for a while. So maybe this is when that one came out, whenever that was popular. So it's called Steel Bank Common Lisp. That's just a guess. And then quicklisp is like a package manager, kind of like a pip for Python or apt or Pacman or whatever for Linux distro, I guess. And then Git, which I'm not going to be covering right now. And so inside Emacs now, you have some stuff like company. It's going to be tab completion, I believe, for like all your stuff. And then Maggot's probably like for the Git. It's an Emacs plugin for messing with Git. And Slime is going to be the IDE, let's say, that we're going to be using inside Emacs. And Slime has a client called Slime, and it has a server called Swank. And there's another one called Sly, and its server's called Slink, I think, which I haven't really messed with. I just always use Slime and Swank whenever they came out. Before that, I was just using Emacs to do stuff, but I'm going to start using Sly, but Portacle can use either one, but by default it's in Slime, so I'm just going to use that for this video. Maybe later I'll try to make a video of setting it up in Emacs. So we can just go download the latest release. This is going to be a portable environment, so you can just install it in your users or wherever you want to put it, and then copy it to a USB stick and run around with it. So you can just run around with all your Common Lisp stuff. I'm running this inside a sandbox, so I'm just going to copy this link, which I already did, I think, but I'll do it again. And then, I just use different browsers for everything, so I know what I want. So I'm just going to use Brave for this. Just another browser I was playing with that, I don't know, some people said did some shady stuff in their eyes or whatever, but I'm just going to use it for this. So I'm in C downloads right now. Instead of putting in a user directory, I just put it in downloads so all the users can mess with it, I guess. And if it's not in here already, it should save that. So come back over here. For some reason, Brave doesn't always want to give me my folder when I tell it to. I don't know if it's because it's not downloaded yet. That's probably what it was then. So this is Portacle. It looks like it might be downloaded. So what I'm going to do is I just scan everything first. Not that I don't trust you, Shinmera. And then once this is done, I'll go ahead and install that. There's a bunch of files in there and stuff, probably because it has all kinds of stuff. There's some stuff we'll have to do, which I don't know off the top of my head, maybe. Like after we install this, we'll want to update the quicklisp, which was over here. It's actually up here, right? So quicklisp, little package manager, is going to be out of date because we're downloading this from who knows, and stuff might be updated or whatever. So we'll run some command to update all that stuff. Else we'll probably run into problems trying to install stuff. So it's always a good idea when you're trying to install stuff in Linux or even in Common Lisp or something, just to make sure everything's updated and it's still sitting over there scanning. So maybe I should have already done this, but at least I get to show you that. Well, you know, I don't have Emacs. I don't have that on there either. So I have Emacs, but it doesn't have Sly. I guess I could go install Sly real quick, maybe. So if I say Windows run Emacs, and if I try to run Sly, it's not going to run. So neither one of these are installed. So I hit Control G to quit out of that command I was typing. So if I hit Alt X, just meta X is what the M is for, because the Alt key is like a meta key. So we say meta X, and then let's hold down Alt and hit the X key. So meta X. Now we can say like package, list packages. And then I don't know the proper way to install Sly. You might have a better way to do this depending, but alright, so it's not even in here. That means we'd have to go probably add the meta repository. I think it's called. Control G twice to get out of that search. So maybe this is done. I'll just get back to Portacle. I'll do another one on this over here, or maybe do it later. So no threads found is all I was looking for. So now I come over here and double click this. And I think what it's going to do is just install it in my user directory by default. So that's cool. I don't mind that. And while that's going, actually, I can come over here back to this, right? And then what we're going to have to do is say like update quicklisp list. See if this is going to get what I want. Quicklisp. If I say update, maybe. I don't know what I did there. Oh, that was Portacle opening, sorry. So where to put it? I want to run Portacle and see if it's in a path, which there's no reason for it to be, but let me check. Okay. So, if I just say Windows R, hold down the Windows key, hit R, and type Portacle, it's opening the path up. And I kind of want this to be opening Portacle for me. But this is cool because it opens the folder for me. So what I want to do now is I'm just going to say, how do I do this? Because I've got another username on here. I don't want to conflict, so I'll just go into the user maybe. So, yeah. So what I'm going to do over here is just, I'm going to say, go to my C drive. And then I want to go to, up here. I want to go to like C. I'm going to put users, ribbit. And then take this. So inside here, C users ribbit. I'm just going to put a folder called progs. So a new folder. I'll call this progs. And now I'm going to come up here. I'm going to copy this. And then I'm going to open up another window. Well, maybe I don't have to because it's right here. Go to the properties. And then I'm looking for a place to make an environment variable. Where's that at in the new Microsoft junk? Advanced system settings, maybe. Environment variables. I'm not used to Windows 10. I haven't used Windows in quite some time. My last job I used Windows, I think it was Windows 7, I want to say. So this is like the variables for me, and this is the system-wide variables. So there's different stuff you can put in there. Wow. And what I want to do over here is I want to go to the path. I'm going to edit my path. And then I'm going to put, this one I don't need for this dude right now, I don't think. And then I'm going to say a new one and put what I just had there, right? And I kind of even want that to go above. Whatever I put in there, I I actually want this, maybe if I can move it up. All right, so this is the Microsoft one, but now it's going to check in here first. Maybe I do or don't want to do that, but I think I do. So I'll probably put this stuff in there myself. So now if I close out of all this stuff, whatever I put in here, Windows is going to know about it because it's in my path for ribbit face, right? So if I double click this, it probably opens up Portacle. So if this is true, I'm going to close Portacle. All right, and so there we go. So it runs Portacle. And it's automatically running the slime. And so that's the first time it ran, so I'm pretty sure it was like compiling code, and it gives me a little deal down here saying connected ribbit face. This could be the start of a beautiful program. So like I said, I want to close it. So to close Emacs, I could close this little dude right here, or I can say Control X, Control C, I believe. Do I really want to quit Emacs? Yes. I don't like when it second guesses me, but I'll leave it alone for now. Create shortcut here. Now if I double click this, it'll open up Portacle, right? But I just want to call it port. And then I'll close this because I don't need it anymore. And then I can close this. And let's say I want to get back. So now, if I type Portacle, that's going to take me back to that folder where Portacle stuff is. So it's an easy place to get inside here. And by default, just because it's in your Portacle environment, quicklisp is what does this. Common Lisp has another folder you can put stuff in for ASDF to find it. That's like a more sophisticated package management type of system, I guess. And Portacle maybe runs on top of that. So inside this projects folder, though, whatever I put inside here, quicklisp will know about it. And that's what I'm using inside there. So I'm just going to leave it like that and use this folder to do that if I create a project, which I'm not going to do right now. But now I can just type port, because that's what I put in the other file, right? If I do that, it's just going to run this. So anytime I want to run Portacle now, that's all I got to do is run port, because it's this file, that one file, the ribbit face progs file or folder, I can put anything in there. Anything I put in there, it's going to be known by the system. So I just put a bunch of shortcuts in there so I can run stuff from the Windows. Instead of having to come up to this junk, I just hit Windows R and type whatever I want there, port, open Portacle. So now I'm just going to click on this and hold the Windows key and hit it to the right. Sometimes when I do this, the bottom doesn't work right, so I like to do it again. And then now my status bar down here will be at the bottom where I want it to be. So now we're inside Portacle, and it's automatically opening up SBCL, and we have slime running inside Emacs, which Emacs is the text editor, and slime is the IDE for messing with Common Lisp. And it has a client and it has a server, so there's another thing called swank that's like the server behind it. And I'm guessing that you type in here in Emacs, it sends those commands to swank, and then swank sends them to SBCL, or somehow they're connected in there. So down here we can add stuff together, and we just have a little repl sitting here. It stands for read Eval Print Loop, because it reads what you type, it evaluates it, it prints that out, and then it goes back in a loop to do the same thing again, basically. And then over here I can hit Control XO, and that will put me in the buffer above right here. So now I'm over here, and this is like a scratch pad. And usually when you're in Emacs, this is going to be an eLisp buffer, but over here it's showing me it's a Lisp buffer, so this is probably some Common Lisp code that I could run. And so if I wanted to do eLisp, Emacs has a programming language called eLisp, lets you modify and do whatever you want to make the editor do whatever you want. You could type in stuff over here, or I could open up a file or whatever. So by default, I can see like Alt X and then type CD, and then this is going to show me where I'm at right now. So right now I'm in C users Portacle, and this is where if I save something, it's going to save it inside here. So maybe I want to run, like, put some note files or something inside of a directory. It's not created yet, so it's going to complain. I could probably like make it force. Maybe I could just try to do that. So inside here, I'm going to put a notes file. And then inside here, I'm just gonna say like video 1. So ribbit video Lisp video Lisp vid, and then just give it a number real quick. And I'm going to put my notes inside something called org. And org's just like another package for Emacs. And right here in Portacle, for whatever reason, it didn't have a match, so it entered. So I'm just going to hit like Control J to like tell it to do it. Okay, so here's where it's complaining there's no directory called that. Actually, I wanted to create the directory, but all right, that's cool. I don't even know if I have the WSL running on this username, but I'll try it real quick. Oh, I didn't even set the user password or nothing now. I wonder what it's gonna do. So, let me just put a password on there real quick. Oh, I'm running root even. That's dumb. You know what? I don't care. I'm just gonna run root. You don't really normally want to do this, but I didn't finish my WSL installation, and I don't want to like take the time to do that right now. So I'll just delete this and set it up correctly or add the user right. So I'll just roll with root, man. Man, it's not a good idea actually. So everything's going to be annoying if I do this. And it's running Ubuntu, which I don't know how to create a user. So let's just create a user then. Oh well, we'll do some stuff to get rolling. Just because I prefer to use a command line. Can you leave me alone? Okay. So we'll just say Ubuntu. I use FreeBSD usually, so Linux commands will be a little bit different. And I was using Arch, and I don't know like if their stuff's different in Ubuntu or not. So I want to create a user. This dude's cool, so that's all we gotta do is add the user. It's pretty easy. Could guess that one, I suppose. Right, and password for ribbit face. Something I can hopefully remember. Yes, I'll try again, dude. Guess I'd try to do something I could remember, possibly. I think I did it wrong again. Alright. Change user information for a ribbit face. Man, I should just name him Ribbit. I don't know a long name. Sorry, but we'll make a new one later. So I'll just call him Ribbit Face because I want to get rid of that dude. It doesn't work, it doesn't have a phone, he's not the other. Is that correct? Yes. And so now if I exit, oh, now when I run the Ubuntu again, it's going to throw me in root again? Damn. Sorry, I'm supposed to say that, right? So that's cool. I'm just going to su, and there's a command minus. There's a letter I want to put there that I want to say it's L. And then force me to log in as this dude all the way. And then now I can be root face, right? So we can check that by saying, who am I? Or we could just look right here too, because it's showing me. And now I want to run tmux. And tmux is just a terminal multiplexer that lets me have several of these. So I can hit Control B C. And then now Control B L to go between these two. So if I type on that one, let's see. So anyway, that just lets me get around. And I can switch, like, break these in two. And Control B O to go between them. And then get out of one of them. Anyway, just lets me get around in multiple areas. There's another one called screen and some other ones, but I started using tmux when it came out and liked it. And only use anything else for like specific reasons, and usually because I'm inside tmux. And it gets confusing if you jump into too many tmuxes, which I might be able to show you. I don't know. I have another server. Well, maybe I'll just make another video with that. A FreeBSD server that I might want to play with, though. I do probably want to play with that. But anyway, if I need to mess with it, then we'll have to create a user for that dude probably too. So, we can see, I opened up, this is WSL. It's like I don't know what it stands for, but like Windows Linux subsystem. And it lets you run Linux on top of Windows. So if I'm over here on my Windows side, I could probably say, we say C whack whack. No, it's just whack whack, right? Not whack. And if I had some other computers on my network, I could probably type them in. But since that one's called Ubuntu, I think I might be able to just go like this. I wonder if I can go like this, maybe. WSL, and they usually put dollar signs into these things. Shares or whatever they're called. There. Now, if I type in that, I'm going to just backslash is whack whack. That's why Windows uses it. That's how I remember. Whack whack and slash is forward slash. So if you hear me say whack whack, I'm just saying backslashes and slash is a forward slash. So I don't have to distinguish between the two. And so here I could have went over here and typed Ubuntu like it's showing me there. But if I had Arch or CentOS or some other stuff on here, sometimes I call Arch Arc. That's what I used to call it, but I don't know how I'm supposed to pronounce it. So I'm just saying Arch for now. But I'll call it Arc or Arch. Either way. And then this is the files over here, right? And so now this is how I see the Linux files over here. It's by coming over here. Whack whack $, whack Ubuntu. So I can now close this because I really don't care. I don't want to mess with Windows. I don't want to mess with Linux from Windows, right? I want to do it the other way around. So the other way around is to come over here inside your Linux, WSL, whatever Linux distribution you chose or whatever haven't done, but you can do. So that's what I'm just showing. I'll show another video of, I need to get a new computer because I have to do everything at such low res right now. When I get a new computer, I'll be able to make better videos. And when I get the new computer, I'll set everything up. Maybe I'll just make a YouTube video of everything I do. So that way you can see how this junk can be installed, but I can't go through that right now because it's already on here and I'm not going to try to reinstall this stuff. So, but from over here, we can see this. There's nothing in here because I just created this thing, right? So, but I want a CD to C. Oh, it's probably going to be mount. So I usually put stuff in mount. So inside mount, there's a C and D. So the D drive is an external drive. And the C drive is the C drive, right? So I could CD to C now, but to type it all out, I would say CDC. And then I was in, like, probably caps matter because it's Linux users, ribbit face, and then if I want, I can just hit tab to complete stuff. And so now I want to come into here, right? And then if I ls, then I can see whatever is inside the ribbit face folder. I think I just go into learn. You should just make a learn folder, Lisp. And then this is where I'll be working from. For right now, anyway. So if I go back over here to Portacle, and then now you can see I'm over here and see users, ribbit face, learn Lisp. But I'm in it from the Linux side, so I can create a file and you'd be able to see it over here on the Windows side. But now what I can do is just say Alt X and then type CD here. Right now I'm in Portacle, but if I wanted to, I could go back to where I was and put it in that ribbit face stuff, which means I put that notes folder that I had earlier in the wrong spot. So, or did I? Because maybe I couldn't save the notes. So ribbit face, learn. So we'll just put it in learn. And then now let's put my notes right here. So when I take notes, ribbit face, and I'm just putting ribbit face there because I'm gonna make ribbitface.com. So I'm just gonna try to like build ribbitface.com, but it's not even, it doesn't even exist right now. So if this works out, maybe I can just these things are so huge. So it's probably one of these scripts blocking this. I'll just say the root face is trusted, man. So yeah, I'm surprised there's even a web server there. So apparently it's set up for me already. I just gotta add stuff. I just gotta spin up a cloud instance. So basically, a cloud is all cloud means is that like if you have your own server and then someone has a data center and they put a server in there. If you get like a dedicated server, what you have is a server sitting there that sits at someone else's location, but you install everything and everything's sitting in there, and you have your own server basically. All the cloud is someone takes that server and breaks it up into virtual machines. So like if you have a virtual box on your computer and you run Lisp inside there, you're basically running your own little cloud on your own operating system. So that's all it is. Usually when someone's talking about cloud, as far as I can tell, they're just talking about they have a dedicated server sitting there and they just have a bunch of different installs of whatever different, because they can install them when you ask for it, but there's just like little partitions and stuff sitting there for you. And you install it, it's like a little virtual box, virtual machine sitting there. And a bunch of people have a virtual machine on one server. So yeah, when you get a cloud, basically you're just a little tiny piece of that, sharing resources with everybody else on there. So that's why I'm just putting this name over here, if anybody's wondering. Now I'm in the wrong window, so if I say Control X, I'll come down here where I was. And then I'm going to put my notes in here, let's say. So I'm just going to say like, ribbit notes, ribbit face notes. I'll just type it out, because maybe when I get the slide, I'll be tab completion or something. Maybe this company can do it too, I don't know. So here, I'm going to open this file up. Oh, you know why it's doing this? It's not because it's a file. Probably would have created the file. I'm trying to change my directory. Okay, so I want to go into this file. And before I try to do that again, I want to do it over here. So this time, since I'm in the repl over here where I can type Lisp commands, right? I changed over here in the text editor. So now if I hit Alt-X-C-E again, it's going to show where I was because I changed there. So I hit Control-G to cancel that. And if I hit Control-X-O again, now I'm going to hit like a comma. And since I'm in the Lisp repl, the comma is going to react. If I'm over here in the editor, I type a comma. It doesn't care. It's going to type a comma, right? But down here in the repl, there's reasons you might put a comma whenever you're typing in Lisp. But if I'm not typing anything else, I can hit a comma. And this is maybe like called a leader key in Vim or something. I don't know what they call it in Emacs. I use Vim more, to be honest. So over the years, anytime I try to learn Common Lisp or any kind of Lisp or scheme or whatever, any kind of Lisp variant or dialect, whatever you want to call these things, I always just use Emacs, no matter what. And so it was like a learning curve over 20 years of playing around. Just every once in a while with Lisp, maybe once a year or something. But I always used Emacs when I did that. So the stuff I know about Emacs is only because I was doing that, right? So I'm going to cancel that with Control-G because I was talking. Hit comma. It's asking me for a command. It's now like for the repl this side. So now I want to hit CD again. And now I want to go back to that folder, right? Learn, ribbit face learn. And so now my file over here that I'm typing in and down here in the repl, we're agreeing that we're in the same file right now, basically, or the same folder anyway. So to mess with some Lisp stuff, a lot of times I just like play around on the repl first. So Lisp has there's just like completion. So it's kind of frustrating sometimes with this completion. I don't know how I like feel about it sometimes, but you can hit Control-J when it starts doing that completion stuff, just to like, well, that's not even doing it in this one. Different ones are different, I guess. So I'll just have to hit enter twice or something. So name and then enter. So what's happening here is whatever I type, this is just basically me quoting a symbol. So I don't know if I just hit quote and put name there. That's the same, right? So this is like the shortcut for quote. If I just type name by itself, there's no variable called name. There's no function called name. So the symbol is not like, doesn't know what it's like going after. So I'll just hit A to get out of here. And if you hit something like 1, then it's not going to error out because in Lisp, it's going to return that back if it knows what it is. And so 1's just going to evaluate to itself, basically. So whenever you type 1, the Lisp is going to go over here, and the REPL is going to interpret what the 1 is, and the 1 is just going to come back to itself. Just like when I put Joe here, Joe's going to come back himself. And I think the reason this is like this is because they used to do a lot of like symbolic programming, like symbolic AI. When you hear like Lisp AI, it's like a symbolic. Now there's like machine learning, but this is like a symbolic type of AI. And so if I put like recipe here, and this is a string, right? But I had to put quotes around it into string. But let's just say I want to type recipe, but I don't know what I want recipe to be yet. I just want to use it as a placeholder or something, or, you know. So you can just come over here without ever like having to use like strings and stuff. So another thing too is like if I make a list, now when you see these parentheses here, usually whatever comes here, just for now, think of it like Lisp wants a function. There could be macros and special other stuff or whatever that could be sitting here. I think there could be even operators, but plus is not going to be one of them. Plus is going to be a function. So now if I try to run this, it's going to error out because it's, you know, execution of a form compiled with errors. And notice that I was hitting enter. I'm not trying to tell it to compile, but like, because this is SBCL, SBCL might be compiling code as you run it. Different implementations might do it different. Half your code or all your code might be interpreted, and then you can just compile one function, and then that one function will be compiled. So I don't know, it's kind of interesting. And earlier I hit A, but I can also hit Q. I don't know the difference, but like one's quit, one's abort, I guess. Depending on what you're doing, it might matter. I don't know. But so if I want to actually just put a list there, I can just quote it. And same thing, we can put quote and then put like the list there, because those things are, I want to say almost always equivalent to each other. But I was playing with something one time, and there was one of these things I thought they were always equivalent, and I did something and it changed the output differently than I thought. So there might be actually like a use case, even if it's really small, between the difference between these two. I can't remember if it was a quote, but I'm pretty sure it was. So now to add like stuff like before, we could probably say like describe. So we can tell it to describe the plus. And then right here it shows. So it names a special variable, and it names a compiled function. Okay, so this is interesting too. Like I don't even know where to start. I don't even know Lisp very well. You know, I just played with it here and there, but I want to learn it. And I think it's a good time to learn Lisp. It's kind of exciting right now because maybe every Lisp person got into Lisp and thought this, but there's a lot of people messing with stuff. And right now, COVID, although I don't see a lot of projects and stuff coming out, like I'd go to like YouTube or something and look for Lisp videos a lot of times, and it's just such a small, I don't know if they like hide some of their content until it gets popular and then release more of it, but for a while I was having a hard time finding any good materials on there. But since COVID, people started making stuff and it got more popular. Now, like there's a lot of stuff in there when I search, even stuff from like 11 or 12 years ago where I didn't see it back then, or even recently. But maybe I just haven't been keeping up with it or whatever. So right now I'm just trying to get back into Lisp because I quit my job, and before I get a new job, I want to learn enough Lisp to maybe consider myself a programmer, because I don't. I've done all kinds of stuff in different languages, but it's usually just to automate my job. I'm more of an IT guy, I guess, or like support, sitting somewhere doing some support, because I don't want to get a real job. So I just like make tools to automate my job. And then they have a different operating system or all this stuff. It gets all complicated. And my last job, they wouldn't get me a Windows machine that I really wanted, just because I wanted to use AutoHotkey to just do like 50% of my job for me, because I was being lazy. And I had asked for it since I started working there, and I never got it. So I just worked there for a year. It's a pretty big company, so it'll look all right on my resume if I have to go back to work one day, I guess. So now inside here, what you can notice though, there's this little Lisp symbol, and symbols are strange. It's like they're could be like a variable, because here they are. Like here, this plus is a special variable. It's the type is true and stuff. The current value of what it was in is this. Okay, so I can tell you what this is. The current value is what made this, because I'm like, why is there a plus sign sitting here? It doesn't make sense, kind of, being a variable name, because I expected a plus sign to be a function. And here you can see it's a compiled function and all this stuff, right? And here it tells you what it returns. And this is like, just like, you can actually go find the source code of this stuff too. But I'll just show more of that when I get back into Slime. I want to learn Sly. Sorry, not Slime, but Sly. I want to learn Sly now, because the article I saw. So if I just come back over here and see what this search engine's got for me. So it's Common Lisp as or Common Lisp repl as my shell, maybe. And yeah, I think this dude right here. I was reading this article. This is why. I'm going to be all over the place, but that's just the way it goes when you're trying to teach stuff and there's just so much to learn and teach. And, until I make a video about how I get around, maybe I'll just break this up a little bit. But this right here is, like, if you're familiar with like Bash or PowerShell or DOS or some command line thing, you usually have, like in Linux, you'll have Bash or Z shell. There's TCSH and SH and CSH and all these different shells you can use. And this guy's talking about, there's a video actually, because like right here he hasn't updated it anyway, but there's a video where he's talking about this. So I watched that and I read, maybe a third of the way through here. And so, but what this guy is talking about doing is trying to use Lisp as his shell to replace Bash or something. And I had looked into this before years ago, and I've seen like different things over the years come out, but there's like a scheme shell or something like that. Maybe that was like SCSH, or just different people try to play around with it, but it just, it wasn't what I wanted to do. So maybe this guy's article will, give some insight. I'll probably just leave that open for me to read later. But, I'm trying to learn like Sly at the moment, so. Coming back over here, this is the plus sign as this. So if I type star, let's just say I say +1, 2, and then it gives me 3. If I put star, then it shows me the last thing. This is just a Lisp variable sitting here. Let's say, let's call it a variable, which the +1's the one right there, right? Now if I say +1, 2, and then I put the plus sign here, it's showing me the last thing I typed in. Or probably showing me the last thing that the REPL read in, which happens to be the last thing I typed in, let's say. So, let's just say if I said, +1, 2, and then it gives me 3. Now the 3 is the star right now, right? Star represents 3. So if I was to say like times, now this isn't the 3, this is the function times, right? And so I'm going to say times, and then now I'm going to say +1, 2, and then I'm going to put an actual 3 there. So I can put a 3 here, but I can also put the star there, right? Because the star is a 3 because it's the last thing that it returned. And so then you have, 2 + 1, 3, and then you have times 3. So you have 9 sitting here, right? So that's something to keep in mind. And so if I was to say star star, it will show me what's back, 2 places from here, 1, 2. And so now 3 is star, but 1, 2, what's it going to be? Now it's 9, right? So I can say what's plus, and the pluses were stars because those are the last things that were read in, right? So if I was to say +1, 2, 3, and then -10, 5, 4, and then I say star star. Sorry, I meant to put ++, right? So I'm just gonna hit Alt-P to go back and retype these. And I'll do the other one. Alt-P here. I want to do ++, right? And so what was the last plus that it came in? It was a ++ I typed. So I don't know how these count. Let's say if I want to get this one, if I say 1, 2, 3, maybe the ++ will be 3 that I want. There we go. So I don't know how far they go, but probably not over 6 or something, I guess. I don't know. They might not go over 3, I don't care. I just want to show you like that you can use these stars to do that. And that's why if I said describe times this time, or describe the asterisks, and I tell it this. This is why it's saying there's a special variable. And it's called times because that times represents the one that's showing what came out of the repl last, right? And this one's the function that's actually doing the multiplication. So that means if I was to say describe, and I'll try to describe one more time, but instead of putting plus or multiplication right here, right, as the symbol itself also, I'm going to say this, and I think this is how you type it. So this right here, notice it got rid of the symbol part of it. So I'm specifically asking, describe the function multiplication. And that's what I was kind of expecting to see earlier, and then I noticed that it was, these were sitting here, so we can do this ourselves. So what's that showing you right there, I guess, is that a symbol could be the symbol itself, because I can still do this too, right? Or the symbol right here is going to be the symbol itself. It could be the variable name. It could be some properties in this P list, like a property list that these things have. Or it could just be the symbols have, or it could be the function that's sitting in there. And this makes Lisp, Common Lisp, but Lisp 2, you could say. Some people might say it's like a Lisp 3 or Infinity or something, I don't know, but like 4 or 5 or 6 because of some of the other stuff it'll do. Like a scheme of Lisp 1, you can't name the function and the variable the same. So here we could say def var to make a global variable. And normally when you make a global variable, you're going to put these earmuffs around it. But I don't want to put the earmuff on it because I want to make a function. I don't want to put earmuffs around my function. So I'm going to say def var name, and then I'm going to give it the symbol ribbit, right? Because ribbit just comes back to itself like every other word. It doesn't matter what I put there. If I'm quoting it, it's going to come back. So now if I say name, I get back ribbit, right? If I wanted to make it a string, I could have said like def var name and put ribbit there. But do I need ribbit to be a string? I don't know. If you notice right there, it didn't change that, right? So it still was not a string there. If it was a string, I would think would look like this actually. So let me just try this. Def var, and then we're gonna say animal. Oh, sorry, I don't want to do that actually. Def parameter. There's a difference between these two, so I might as well figure it out right now, right? So now I'm gonna say animal, and we'll just say frog. And then if I say animal, it's a frog. But now if I want to go back and change def animal to be rabbit, let's say. This ribbit could be a rabbit or a frog, right? And then I could say animal. Sorry, I can't type very well today. And now notice that it changed. So def var and def parameter. Let's try that one more with the I'm just hitting Alt P, I can go up with some stuff. So Alt P, I'm going up, where I try to like change the name to ribbit, which it is right now, to be a string, but it wasn't. And so now if I call name, it's still ribbit, it won't become a string. So it's two separate ways, and these are global variables. Keep in mind that we're creating right here because we're not in any of the other kind of scope or anything. So we're creating these global variables, and what you can make a constant. So let's just say it's probably def constant, let's say, right? And I think these usually have, they call these earmuffs, but I like to call them eyeballs because Lisp aliens have a bunch of eyeballs a lot of the time. I think they use those to keep up the parentheses maybe. But so this would be like a constant. And so we can make a constant name room, let's say. And because we're always just going to be in a specific room, and we'll say it's a lab. And so now and here I'm using the earmuffs. The regular global variables, this is a constant, so it has a plus sign there. It's just a way, if you want people to be able to read your code and, help you out or correct your code, or you want to check way the people in that language type a lot of times, you're also going to start complaining about something else besides your problem you're trying to find out. So the room with the plus signs is just a variable, or a symbol, whatever you want to call these things. The symbol, when you name it like this, gives the symbol a name, and the name of the variables will become the name of the symbol. The name of the function will become the name of the symbol if there's not a variable there already, probably. So we could say now, when we try to do def var, it wouldn't work, but let's just try to override it now. So def parameter, and we're going to say name, and we're going to say a string ribbit. So now if I say name. So notice def parameter let me override it, but def var didn't. So as far as I can tell, def var and def parameter are the same, except def var sometimes pretends like it's a constant, like it sees things as a halfway constant basically or something, So it's pretending like anything that I def var define, I'm going to pretend like it's a constant if I'm trying to change it. But anything else trying to change it, it's fine. So it's, and I'm just kind of making this up as I go here. Def var is like, like if I reload my Lisp page or something, I already have some stuff in my REPL. If I was putting my stuff source code somewhere else, I would reload some source code into my REPL that I'm running right now. Def var, when it reread the source code, wouldn't rename those variables. So if there's some reason, like I want these not to be changed, I want them to stay in the state of my REPL every time I reload my source code, def var won't change those, right? It's going to treat it kind of like a constant as long as it's trying to change it, which right here was trying to change it and it can't. But it still lets everything else change it. So you could use setf or something too, right? So I can say setf dog, and we're going to make the dog a cat. Now when I do this, I'll probably get a warning. So if I was writing this in my buffer up here, right? If I'm up here and I'm writing some text inside my text editor, and I save it as a file, and then I run the Lisp code with SBCL or something, I'm probably not going to see these warnings, but unless I have it set to output the warnings, or if it does, you could probably tell it don't show me the warnings, but by default, it probably doesn't show you the warnings, but it'll show you the errors because it's not going to run. But since I'm in the REPL, Common Lisp and Sly or Slime's going to be like, you didn't set this. This is an undefined variable. But it's defined now, right? Dog. But if I was to set f dog again, and this time to a mouse, and then I say dog, it's now there. It was defined before, but it's still sitting here crying that, hey, it's not defined. So you can ignore this if you want. But the way to get around that would be to use def var or def parameter to set these. And so then we can say dog, and we'll put it back to a cat. And then now if I say setf, and here I'll just go back to where I was, call it a mouse. And then now dog will be a mouse. And I don't get that warning anymore. So a lot of times if you're coding, or I'm coding in the REPL anyway, you might as well just do stuff properly so you're not getting all these errors running around. And when you scroll up your code and try to see what you're doing or whatever, look how clean it kind of was right here. Just because I was using def var, and because I got lazy and put this, it gave me the warning. It still works. It doesn't really care, but it's giving me that warning. And now, now there's all this warning junk in the way of what I was trying to do or whatever. So that's just a way to get around that. Oh, before I go any more, I forgot about this, and I should have showed this right away. We're inside Portacle, and if you install Emacs and you install Slime or Sly and you do all this stuff and you're installing things one by one, you're gonna know, a lot of times if you do them one by one and test them out, you're gonna know hey, why is my thing acting funky right now, right? So when we're inside Portacle, pretty important when we start messing around, I guess, is if I'm trying to define a function, let's say, and I mess up and I put add here, and then I do XY, or let's say I close it like this. While I'm typing inside here, para-edit is making all the stuff for me, right? And so notice when I come out here, let me just go back and then go like this, right? If I come over here, I start hitting back. Notice how they're not disappearing. I'm trying to hit backspace. And then now it's bringing these around. So it acts kind of strange. So for the most part, you can just kind of ignore these kind of things. But when I put XY right here, and let's just say I say plus XY. All right. Now I hit enter. I'm going to hit Q because I'm trying to define a function. And this thing add is not a function. So it means that there's trying to call the function somewhere. So right here, there's an open parentheses and add, so it's trying to call this as a function rather than setting it as a variable name, right? And I want to get rid of that. So I want to get rid of these parentheses. But notice, like, if I try to get rid of this parentheses, it doesn't want to go away. So what I do is, I'm still learning this parrot edit thing. And I used to just turn it off because it annoyed me, but I just try to like use it enough. So I learned enough just where if I go where I kind of want to like right before the parentheses, so like I want to draw this one over here. So if I just come here and I hit Control, I'm holding down the Control and hit the left arrow. It brings that over. If I put it on right after the one that I'm trying to move, like this one right here, I'm trying to move the one that closes that. So if I hit Control and hit R, it'll go over there, right? So now I'm left and bring it back. Now that they're here, they're easy to delete. That one's still not going to delete, but as soon as you delete this one, that one will go away. Right? So that's kind of annoying if you don't understand how these parentheses things work. So that's just my suggestion. Now let's say if I come over here and I want to put this here, it moves that over automatically. I just come over here, hold down Control, hit it, and put it where I want it to be. And notice it's, because I'm in Emacs, it's re-indenting my code for me. And a lot of people don't like these parentheses, but just think if Lisp was around first, so the dude who created Python, Guido or something like that, right? If he was over here messing with Lisp code at any point in time and saw this, and he was using Emacs, then you'll realize like, hey, like, actually these parentheses, he could have noticed this. So these parentheses are just like making white space basically because my editor is doing this, so I can just create a language with just white space. I'm just making this up, but there's Lisp influence a lot of things, so you never know how this type of stuff comes out. So now we say add 2 and 2, let's say, and so we get 4 here. Now the other thing to do is if I'm over here and I have these parentheses all over the place, and I just not like right here I'm trying to like right here I want to add a parentheses, but it's not letting me. It's not letting me do what I want. So I can maybe come over here and add the parentheses that I want and go like this and then put it over here. Let's just say for some reason this is what I wanted. It says whatever. So now I want to get rid of these things, and it's too annoying for me to remember to do Control or figure out how that's Control, because if you don't put the Control in the right spot, you might, okay, so I didn't have it in the right spot. Now the other dude that was supposed to be around everything is not there. So it's kind of confusing. What you do is you just hit Alt X. You can type parrot edit. And this is how you can get out of parrot edit. So is it parrot edit? Yeah. And then mode. So now who cares? Like now I can get rid of this parentheses like I want to. Come over here and get rid of this parentheses like I want to. And then hit tab, because tab's going to re-indent my code for me. Sometimes it brings up tab completion, so it can get tacky. I hope Slide's better about this, because Slide with completion, all this stuff annoys me sometimes with the way it does stuff. And so now I can use my add function again, right? So I can say add 20 and 10. There we go. So what I was trying to show a minute ago, I guess, because I was putting up these global variables, and then I want to change this back, so I'll just say like set name to ribbit, because I don't know why if ribbit needs to be a string, and I don't care if it is, right? If you're trying to format it pretty, you might want to like use a string, but like the format command's pretty crazy too. So I don't know, Common Lisp was all crazy. Just let me show you the name. So now I'm gonna have a function called name. So I'll say defun name, and then we're gonna say name. We already have a symbol called name. We have a variable called name, and so there's a symbol name. It has a variable in it that's called name. And now I'm gonna stuff inside this symbol, and the symbol is the name. Is using the name of the variable for the name. So now we're gonna set a function called name. And since Lisp 2, we can do this because we saw the plus sign, the multiplication sign. We're doing this, right? And those were functions. So we're gonna say defun name, and then we're gonna give it like who, let's say. And then we'll say defun. Then right here, I'll just use, you can put a print here, but I'm just gonna show the format command so I remember to do it. And then I'm just gonna use T, which is like the standard output, I think. And then right here, I'm gonna put like I am ribbit face the, and here we'll put the little directive thing here, or whatever these things are called, and then another one for a new line. And then the S right here that you see is going to be what I'm going to type right here. So now I'm going to put who here, right? And then I'll close this. And so now we have a function sitting here. And so right here we're going to say the tilde S is the directive for this right here. If this was a character, you might put a C there. If it was a decimal or like a real number, you might put a D there. Or different numbers or float, maybe F or whatever. I don't know what they are, but whatever they are, they'll put like these little things in here. And in this particular case, I could put like a lowercase s2, but I'm just going to use the capital S right now until I know the difference between these things better. And so here we go. Now we have name. I could have described name earlier, but I didn't. Because if I would have described name earlier, then you'd see, maybe way up there I did, but there was only one. But now we can see names, a special variable. The value currently is ribbit. And then we have name. The name is a compiled function. So notice that our function once again is compiled. So then here's like stuff, and then you have part of the like code, you can see some of it. This is just a lambda, which is like an anonymous function. You know, like maybe I can try to do one of those. Format T, and ribbit, the whatever, and then who. So now if we call name, we give it Joe. So I am ribbit face to Joe. If I come over here and I give it ribbit, and now it's like I am ribbit face to ribbit. Now here maybe it's where you actually want to use a string or something, right? So we can go back to def_var, which is our global variable. We should have had earmuffs around it. Now I'm playing with this more, we should probably rename it again. But I just wanted to show this namespace stuff right here difference, right? But we can say like def_var, and def_var is the one that didn't want to do it, and def_parameter is the one that would allow me to do it. Setf is just easy. I use like setq too. We probably just use set and then say quote, but we'll say setf for a moment. Setf, and we're going to say name to be ribbit the string. And that way, when we call name with ribbit, see it's still returning like all caps, so it still doesn't matter that I was using the symbol. So some people will tell you that Common Lisp is in case sensitive because like right here, if I just say like hi, it comes back and returns hi. And it doesn't care like if I say be fun, yellow, or hello, like this. Or, and then later on I come back and I call it like this. It is ignoring it by default, but it doesn't mean it can't. You can go set something to make it case sensitive. It's just, there's no reason to do that unless you had a reason to do that and you're the only person ever going to use that. Else, if you name stuff lowercase and uppercase to, you know, to be different, then when someone else ran your program in the other mode, your stuff's going to clobber the names because it's not carrying in their REPL because nobody does that. So yes, you can make it do this stuff, but by default, it just ignores that stuff. So you can go around and, you know, do different things, which off the top of my head, I don't know because how to do it, but at some point when we're messing around, there'll be a reason to do it. It's just right now I don't care if ribbit's all caps or whatever, right? What's more interesting right now is just to show some of the stuff. And so you can say like, there's different print stuff, print high, there's a print C. I don't know the difference between all these things. I think there might even be like a print 1 or something. I don't know, is that yeah, so like, now I'm sure somewhere along the line there's reasons for all this stuff. I just, you know, I don't know what it is. But I can show you one of them is like format. I say format, and then I say T, and then I put a little tilde S here, let's say, and then I just put like ribbit once again. Right? Now notice that it returned the symbol ribbit and then return nil. So at output, format T is outputting, so it's not returning here. here it's outputting ribbit, and then down here it's returning nil because that was what it returns. So pretty much when you're working on the REPL, you're going to see a lot of return values, and it's just, you know, like up here, high, it's printing high twice. If I say like ribbit right here, it returns the ribbit once, but when I turn the symbol, it was returning high. But when I was saying the format command or the print command, right? The print, these are just returning themselves. This is returning to the symbol high. This is returning to the string ribbit, because this is probably going to be an atom. So if I say atom, you'd think there'd be a P here, but there's not for some reason. And probably why is if I say list 1, 2, 3, it makes a list, right? Which is equivalent to going like this. And it wasn't a quote, it was a list. This is different in some instance, I think, maybe now. And so maybe the quotes are always the same, the list is not. Maybe I run into this one time and show you the special case where they were different, whichever one it was. So we have that list sitting there, and we had ribbit. At least it's returning this, like returning that string back. So this right here, let's say, could be read back into the REPL. Oh, you can even like highlight over this thing. So I could come over here and inspect it. I could describe it, which was what I was doing earlier. I could copy that to the REPL, which I'm already in. Like I really want to copy it in the buffer up here, which is what I'd like, because I always use this. And if I get done with a function, I want to copy it up, or I guess other people type in here and then copy it down to the REPL. But you can still copy and paste, but it'd be just nice if there's a button to do that. I guess you could like inspect it. When we see ribbit, that's 6 characters, right? So it's an array. So you can see that it's like basically an array of characters, it looks like. It's 6 in length, it's got 6 dimensions. And the total size is 6. It's adjustable nil, fill pointer is nil. And then probably like click on different stuff, and now we can see the character code for R. And then here's like an uppercase R. Here's a lowercase r. See, let's notice the difference. It's just by default the way it's coming over here. So to get out of this, I'm just going to hit Control-XK to kill the inspector. Probably just change it back. Control-XB would have changed me back, but I'm pretty sure it'll just bring it back up for me if I need it again. Right now I'm not really messing with like a lot of stuff, but it's nice to know like you can come over there and do that though. So what I want to do before I forget, just to interrupt myself, is, well, we did the T right here. Never mind. I'll have to interrupt myself and remember anyway. All I have to do here is we can change this though to nil, and we'll see a different return. So in this particular case, this ribbit is returning a string once again, where here it was returning a symbol. This right here can be read back in. So if I was to want to read back in for some reason, whatever I'm spitting out, then nil is, you know, if you don't mind it being a string in this particular case, we'll be able to read this back in. So you could like, you know, write some code that read this back in and keep running. Where this right here, ribbit is not a function, and ribbit's not like necessarily a symbol sitting there, right? So if I type ribbit, you know, this right here, the Lisp REPL won't read that back in, but the string it could read back in because it can read it. So right here, if I just type ribbit, it puts ribbit back here, and it put it in a form that it can read it back in because it can read that. I just put it out and just spit it back out. So these two can go back and forth. Where this ribbit needs to have, since it doesn't exist, it would need to have that quote sitting there first, right? Or maybe you don't know how to put the quote, but you can write some Lisp code that then wrote the ribbit right here inside there. And then that way it could run the code that's sitting right here. But it still can't, at this point, return what it's like returning, but we can still inspect it. So maybe it's coming back with the, right here showing the ribbit. There's a way too to go back, I just don't know what it is, but there is a button, you just type this, it takes you right back. I found it the other day, but this time I'll just hit Control-XB and go back to my scratch pad that I'm not using. So there's probably like a slime messages or something. Let me see if there is. I could just put that up there or something. Control-XB. Just let me see if there's some messages. Is anything in here? So I don't know what's going to happen in here. I don't know what it shows. So I was just curious. So showing that marks are being set and stuff. So you can kind of ignore that up there. I'm just curious for myself. So the other thing I wanted to show you is, this is kind of confusing too, and maybe annoys some people. And maybe not the format as much as loop, but I'll try to remember to do loop in a second. And I don't know much about loop or format too much, but I've been using this format a little bit, right? So this time what I want to do is I wanted to say is this funky curly braces. I don't know like if curly braces are easy to see on the screen, but I just want to wait, kind of see how the video is, and if I need to like zoom in next time, then maybe that's a possibility. I thought like Control Plus maybe zoomed in or something, but I don't remember. Control X plus sign, Control X, Control plus, Control X, Control minus. So it is possible. Like if this isn't showing up too well, I could like instead of paying attention to that, maybe Control X1 just to make this the only buffer. And then if I was to say, well, you know, I'm not even like really doing anything else, right? So there we go. It's sometimes hard for me. I'm used to tiling window manager in like Linux or FreeBSD or something. The Windows tiling window manager is getting better, but ironically, I want to say Windows 3.0, Windows 3.1 had a tiling window manager. It was really crappy, but they might have had like a really early tiling window manager, because that's what 3.1 wrote. You'd open up the windows and put them, you could like tile them if you wanted to. Just navigating between them was horrible. So now we're going to format. And what I was trying to say is format is a little mini language. And loop is a little mini language too, inside Lisp from what I can tell. And I think these are called DSL, which is a domain-specific language, which is just like little mini languages people create. There's a racket, it's a scheme. And like that whole environment's kind of built for making languages and experimenting and studying languages or programming languages and stuff like that. So that's kind of interesting, but for now I'm just going to mess with Common Lisp. So here I'm going to then put, so maybe I should just do it like this, tilde s first. It's not going to make any sense, I don't think. And then we're going to say format, and then I'm going to put a list right here. Okay, and what I was doing here, right? I was doing this so I could go like this. So let me do that before I forget. Control X, Control plus sign. There we go. So hopefully that's big enough to see. A lot of times I leave my screen split because I'm working in two different things, or because like right now I'm not even saving stuff in a note file, right? I'm just doing everything in the repl right now. And you can, if I was saving it in a file, you can save it somewhere and then you can just use load. A lot of times you can just get away with doing this right here. But like if I put this #P, it means like a path name. And then if I hit tab right here, it's giving me some other kind of completion that I want. But maybe there was like a file called ribbit inside here. There we go. And so, ribbit. So there's probably not a list file in there, right? But if there was, it would be tab completing the list file that's inside there. And then I'd close this. It'd be like a, you know, rib.list, let's say. And then like that. And so that's how I'd load the file if I was saving in a file. I'm not, right? I'm just in the repl the whole time right now. So, and I just get used to being split screen, right? So here we'll just do it like this. Now, I'm just going to run this command one more time because I interrupted it. So now we are getting a list back. And like this S right here, you might think string, but like this isn't a string. So this is, I think, and this right here too, is just different ways of printing stuff. One of them might be prettier than the other one or something when you're doing a lot of stuff, the two different S's. But basically they're, I think it stands for like print a sexp if I'm not mistaken. But sexp is basically an S expression. And so in Lisp, everything you see that you can type basically, like atoms, atom and list and vectors, anything that the Lisp interpreter can read in is going to be a sexp. So even this right here is a sexp, right? And I guess I was, before I, I'm jumping around everywhere because I was trying to show you the atom earlier, but I didn't show you the different types or whatever. So one thing to think too, I guess, a lot of times in Lisp, like this is evaluating back to itself is, Because we can say type of. Can we say that? No. So we can say like type. I don't know. Maybe I should try this right now. I think type of. Like we had to say like type of 3. And then maybe you'd say like integer or something. But like I don't know. And then maybe you have to say like list like this. Valid number of arguments. So maybe it was what I was trying to do. Just typed it right. There we go. So, and then there was another one that I was trying to do right there. Maybe type P. Valid number of arguments. So this implied list. True. Okay. So there you go. Try to figure stuff out as we go, I guess. So that was this one right here. Right. Type of 3 is integer. So what if I was to say like, yeah, type of, I think that's what I did the first time, is I had not done that. So there's a 3.0 single float. So here we can say like, what is this then? That's a symbol. I would say cat, that's a symbol. Okay, so that's a symbol too. And then what if we come over here and say like, what was that? A. So that's a standard character A. And we say type of, how we do the vectors, like this maybe. So it's a single vector. And then now we can come over here maybe and put this, and it'll give us a list back. Ooh, man, there's another thing to cover. So cons. So this is a list, right? Oh. And then up here, somewhere, right here I said type P is just a list. It said true, it is. But then down here when I say type P and give it the same list, it comes back with a cons. So we just, I guess, have to think of that as lists are made up of cons. So here's a list, the other way to write it, right? So if I was to say cons 1, and then say cons 2, and cons 3 to nil, let's say. Then I come back and get the list. And so this is why it's coming back and showing that right here, I guess. Instead of showing me it's a list, which I can check to see if it's a list, and it's cool with that right here. It knows it's a list, but it also is like, to me, you know, Mr. Lisp over here, this is a cons, and this is why it's a cons. And so the other thing you could have done was, let's just say if I put 4 here instead of nil. It's kind of like maybe in C you have your like null terminated character arrays or something. Then that's what that nil kind of does here in this. The cons is like nil lets it know when to stop. But if I was to put like, I want to say you can put a 4 here. Why is it typing so many of these? I'm just going to hit enter, and then I can just do this. But what I want to do is just, did I put maybe the pair edit mode is off or something? I want to try just doing this real quick and see. So see, this is, I want to say they call them a dotted list or a broken list maybe. So, I don't know, dotted list, broken list. And so, if we were to take the car, which is the first, so it's probably easier, so we just go like this and then put first. And yeah, pair edit mode's off. So it gets the first, it gets the 1, the last one. And then you can get like last. That's probably where these like plus signs and stuff would like be nice. Now if I was to say last, the list, 1, 2, 3, and that one had 4, let's just say. So see here, because this is a non-dotted list or non-broken list, this right here, this 4 right here, is just the last thing. But the last thing in this is considered to be the 3.4 because it's a dotted list or a broken list. And so see how it broke the list? Like we're expecting the last element to be this, but the last element's this. So there is like maybe a reason to do these because you could say like, and let's just, okay. So I want to know, like, just remind me to talk about an enemy real quick with this dotted broken list. So we want to do broken list. I'm just going to type it here. broken list, broken. And so here see how I'm typing broken list, but I was like just typing a string because it made sense. But it also stands out, but I wouldn't have to. I could just use the quote in the beginning, right? If I put the quote in the beginning, it don't have to be a string. But this particular reason, I just want that to be there because I want to see it. So I'm gonna say broken list enemy. I don't even know if we can do this structure or plist. I don't think I'm gonna get that far in this one, but just to remind me, right? So I'll see that in a minute. So I want to go back to format before I don't talk about what I was trying to show you a minute ago. And so go back to this S, right? And I'm gonna put this list here. And I'm sorry, but I got so used to using pair edit mode. I'm just gonna turn it back on. If it messes with me, I'll turn it back off. Usually it's not a bother for me, but because I've been using it, then I became, I guess, dependent on it. And notice too, like I hit the double quotes it puts in there. I'm gonna put the %s. Instead of coming over here and hit the right arrow or something to try to move around these things, just print over them. So I'm just gonna put double quotes and then parentheses. So that's why I was adding extra parentheses earlier, because I'm just used to typing over these things. And so if I hit a backspace now, it doesn't get rid of that. So I pretend like it's not there, just hit backspace, because it's not gonna get rid of that unless I come over here and get rid of this one or pull it over, you know? But hold control, hit L, or left arrow key, hold control, hit right arrow key. I hit control E to go to the back of the line, control A to go to the front of the line. So if I jump to the back of the line, hit backspace, it won't get rid of that. So I can just pretend like they're not there, basically. And you know, in Python, you're worried about the spaces. Over here, you're worried about the parentheses. But if you use the right editor, you just ignore these things. So you get used to the tools like pair edit, which I'm not used to yet. So now we're going to put like this back over here one more time, just because I keep talking, and see what's going wrong. And that's because I didn't put T or nil or a place. Right now, it doesn't know where to, like, where does it go? It's actually telling me down here at the bottom. Right, if you look down here, it says format, destination, control string, rest, format arguments. This destination's like where's it supposed to go? Standard input, standard output, standard error. I don't know what they all are in Lisp, but you have T and nil, which I think are basically just going to standard output in different formats. So now I got that back and working, right? So, but what I can do here now is, if I was to, you know, put a tilde % right here, that means new line, the tilde %. And you can't really see it because it's only printing one line, right? But format, this format command right here is basically a little mini language inside Lisp, which I tried to explain earlier and never did, or start to, but now, so this means we can do weird stuff. And so what I'm going to do right here is, go to this actually and see if this works. I'm putting the curly brackets in there. And notice I'm on this line. I'm not supposed to be on that line, right? And this is something that, you know, like Emacs by default acts different. So what I'm going to do is just come right here and hit Control K to delete this. And then I'm just going to hit Control XU to undo it. And that way I have it on my buffer right here, so I can just paste it with Control Y. So Control A, Control K, kill that. Control Y, put it back. I guess Y stands for yank. Emacs was around before copy and paste were terms, right? So it's really old. So whenever you kill something, it puts it onto the clipboard, let's say. And it has like it's called a kill ring buffer or kill ring or something like that. And this kill ring has a bunch of different saves of the stuff that you've cut or copied or whatever. I don't know how to use it all, but the one I do know how to use is Control Y. And so think of Y, like we think of copying or cutting. And when we cut that, right, to the clipboard. But here, you're yanking it off the clipboard, and that's why it's Y. So if I say Control K to kill this, and I hit Control Y, now when I yank this off the clipboard and put it over here, so Control Y is paste. I think you can change this. There's like settings, I don't know. Like I just try to use like a lot of tools the way there are. If I get good at it, then I can go back and change it to the other way. But for now, I just try to learn. Emacs commands are kind of cool. Because if you're on the REPL over here, and I really can't stand how like long this is, so at some point we'll have to change that so it's not so long over here. But like if I'm typing over here, one word, and actually I'm inside TMUG, so it's kind of hard to see. So I can hit Control BD, Now I'm not in tmux anymore. This is why tmux is cool. Let's say if I was on a server and I hit Control BD, now I detach from my tmux session. Now I turn off my laptop and then I come back in, SSH back into that server over there, and I can just hit tmux and then say A to attach. You can give them different names and numbers and different stuff, but since there's only one there, I hit A, it brings me back to the last one I was on, basically, I guess. So just to show this, I don't want to be in tmux because I'll show you why. If I say one word now, if I hit Alt B, I go back a word, right? So I can hit Alt F and go forward words. Control A, Control E, and Control A, Control K, Control X, U, Control underscore. So there's an undo there. So in Emacs, also Control Shift underscore is another way to undo. And so if I hit Control Shift underscore, it can undo what I did. So I don't know, it's kind of nice to have that. And so when I was back in tmux, let's say. Now, to get around in tmux, I hit Control B0 to go to the first buffer. I'm already there, so Control B1 go to the second buffer, right? Control BL go to the last one I was at. But the Control B command in Emacs or in the shell is like if I type hi-lo, and I hit Control B, it's supposed to go back a character. But tmux is intercepting my Control B because it's looking for me to like hit C and that would create a new window, which I didn't want to do, but I can exit out of there. So if I say Control B, it takes me back. So to go back in the normal command, when I'm outside of tmux, Control BD, outside of tmux, I can say hi-lo again. If I hit Control B, it's just going back. Control F going forward, right? Alt F, Alt B go back. If I go back into tmux, then Alt B and Alt F are cool because they're not intercepting. But Control B is. So that's just, you know, if I go back Control B, Control B, Control B, Control B, every two Control B's it goes back one. But Control F is just one. Because tmux is intercepting the Control B's because that's how I get around in tmux. Split my window, Control B, quote. So I can exit out of here. Anyway, so that's just something to keep in mind. If you're learning some Emacs commands or you know some bash commands or something or whatever shell you're in, if they're using some of these tab completed type of like, what's that, RL wrap type of commands, I think is what it is. So sometimes there's a command called I want to say RL wrap. It might not be installed. So if I say RL wrap, or is it? Yeah, I think it is. Maybe that. And so not found, apt install. So you might be able to like do an apt install RL wrap, and at some point I might show that if I'm running SBCL from here, which it's not in here either. So I'd have to install that. Is it worth installing this? Why Emacs is interesting? Why we're using Portacle? That might be, you know, something to want to know too. So let's just say I'm this idiot ribbit face, and he doesn't have admin rights. But I had to log in because I haven't done everything right. I didn't set up WSL right. And so if I exit out, then maybe I'll be, you know, I'm gonna exit out one more time. And that might be where tmux detached. So see, I was sitting there exiting out my stuff like you might normally do, which I didn't really care. If I was working, I wouldn't have done that. But let's just pretend like I was working. Like, oh man, so much work I did. All right, so there it is. And now I Control BD, it just detached tmux from here. Now I can exit out of ribbit face, right? This is like if I was on a server, but it works on a local machine. It's not as useful on a local machine other than having like separate windows and doing stuff I want to do. But in this case it is. Like I want to exit out of here. Now, because I didn't set up WSL earlier, when it asked me for the username and password, I was like, I don't know, I was doing something else and I ended up rebooting this machine and closing out. And, oh, you know what it was the keyboard I was using for some reason. You know, you have like a keyboard and it has software like these razor crap and stuff, and it installed this stuff, and that keyboard software messed up my keyboard. I couldn't type. I thought my computer froze up, but I didn't realize that my laptop keyboard would have worked if I just would have used that. So I ended up closing the machine and turning it back on. This SteelSeries keyboard software, whatever came up, and like I ended up just having to like turn it off on startup, and now my keyboard's working again. So I don't know what happened, but now it's got all these like weird green colors and stuff I turned off. But whatever. Since that all happened, though, now I'm not logging into like ribbit face automatically. It's stuffing me in here as root. So I'll just go back and exit out of here because ribbit doesn't have permissions to be root yet, I don't think. So I can just exit out of there and then come over here and type it. So this is how I get around until I fix this, I guess. So we can say apt install, and then I think it was, I want to say it's RL wrap. And, just apt update, right? Is it apt update and apt upgrade? It's just, like I'm used to, I guess in Linux, rolling with Arch Linux for a while. Because I normally use FreeBSD, and then I wanted to try to see what Linux was about. About the time Arch came out, I started using that. I used to just use FreeBSD for so long because when I first tried to use Linux so many years ago, the monitor I had wouldn't work. Whatever, I couldn't get it to work under, I think back then it was called X386, and now it's probably called like Xorg. Now they have a new one, Wayland or something I haven't played with, but there's something else out there now, I guess. And I tried it on FreeBSD accidentally by going to Micro Center and seeing a book, and it had the FreeBSD logo on there, little daemon guy, maybe a daemon, some people call him. And I, went home, installed that OS, and bam, the X Windows started working. So when I installed Linux back then, I could get the command line to work like I'm working it now, but I knew nothing about the command line back then. It's like typing gibberish or something. And so I was trying to get the GUIs to work, and FreeBSD gave me the GUI, so I started using that, and it became a command line junkie maybe. So anyway, so now we're going to say like apt upgrade, and I know it sucks, but whatever. Let's sit here and watch this stuff load real quick. And that's kind of how I got into FreeBSD. And so there was the other thing. So RO wrap I want to install, and SBCL, because I'm on the Linux side. So, I mean, while that's installing, then we can just go back over here, I guess, because it's boring to watch that. I'm not used to my Portacle being this color, so it's hard for me to find it. And now we can go back to this stupid command I've been trying to do the whole show. Now, notice this right here. We had the first format here, and then this format right here. Right? So this one right here is just the one we've been running the whole time. And this is just using like, print whatever 6p it's given, and then print a new line, and the S expression we gave it is this 1, 2, 3, 4 list. Now down here, we say format T, and then we give it this little thing right here. And format is a little language, a little DSL, like I said. It's like, I don't expect my Common Lisp, oops, Control XU to undo that. I gotta do that twice. Now, Control E to get over here. So now what we're doing is we give it this little tilde curly bracket and the closed tilde curly bracket, and then we tell it inside here to put the S expression, which at this point is going to be, it's breaking it down in a loop of 1, 2, 3, 4 is the S expression it's putting in here, and then here's a new line. So you can probably see that. I can just hit Control D, Control D, Control E, and then that'll delete 2 characters, go to the end of the line. And then notice right here, once again, I'm typing. I'm just so used to being outside of Portacle and Emacs where I can just like hit enter right here and it'll put it down there. So I'm just going to Control A to go to the front, Control K to kill it, Control Y to come down here, and I just put it back. So notice whenever I pasted it, these right here are like bold, and this one's not because I pasted it. Last time I hit Control undo, so I usually use Control XU, but let's try like Control Shift underscore. That's another way to do, whichever one's easier. Like either one of them are easy, right? But now I got it back to where it's the format that it was, and I hit Control Y, and then I'm pasting. This way, it just, this right here is like slime, or probably slide, but in slide it would be slide doing this. But this is just like slime in this case, like formatting this stuff. And so it might be certain stuff, it's like stuff that you can interact with. I just don't know how to do all that stuff yet. And when I get into slide, I'll figure this out and be able to show more about it. So here, I'm going to hit enter. And notice we got rid of the tilde % that was there, which means new line. So if I come back over here, it puts the new lines back. But I kind of want to go back to this format real quick because it's kind of interesting. And it probably works better in a different case, but I'm just going to try to show this first. So here I can put a space, let's say, right? Because these right here are jumbled together right here, right? I don't necessarily want these dudes that are jumbled together right here being jumbled together like that. So, bam, cool. So now 1, 2, 3, 4, right? But they're not on a list, so you can't see this, or there's nothing behind that 4. So let's just say we put parentheses around these things. So if I was to say, like, let's just put a parentheses right here, right? Just to show this off, and put a parentheses right here. And then if I hit enter, there we go. It's looping through this structure right here. And notice, like, they each have a space after them. So we'll go back to this one once again. And then we could maybe throw a comma in here to see this too. So if I put a comma right here, that'll show it better probably what I'm trying to say. Okay, so now there's a 1, 2, 3, 4 there, right? But it's nice that it's doing that, but I don't want this last one to be here. So inside these things are all like directives, I think they're called, to like the format command. There's another one you can say where you put like a tilde caret right here, I think it is. And so now if I do this, notice it got rid of the last one. So it still knows 1, 2, 3, 4. If I come over here and add more numbers to this, you know, we'll say like 7, 8, 9 or whatever. And then now I can just type over those, right? So only the last one's not going to have the comma sitting there. So maybe another way to see this too would be like if I was to say 1, 2, 3, 4 again. No, you know, I won't do that either. Let's just go maybe try to do this. 1, 2, and we'll do a 3 and a 4, and then we'll do a 5 and a 6. And then if we come over here and we do this, I don't want commas anymore. Well, let's see what it does first. So now it's giving us a list. And notice if we came over here and took this out, the last one would have a, like, ooh, whatever I did not like there, huh? It's this one right here. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's say this was a list, like we have that in a list of a list. So notice this right here is 1, 2, 3, 4. But over here we have this in a list of a list, right? So like how can we get that list back? So let's just try this, see what happens. And then after this one, we'll put like, we had one loop in there, right? And just by adding this, like, just by adding this right here, it's like, curly thing, make me some funky loop. And then make me some other funky loop and close my funky loops. And then if we come over here, and here I'm doing it again. So Control K to kill that, Control X to undo so it looks bold, Control Y to come over here. And I want to try to like hit Alt B now until I get back to Sly. So now we come back over here, and like I'm sitting here going back, I could hit Control R to search for an S, and that way I jump right to the S. Control F to go forward one character, and then right here I'm going to put that, you know, funky little thing right here to end, and then I'm going to get rid of the space. No, because it is right there. That's right. That's where I want it to be. That's how it works. And then now it's, you know, terminating somewhere. So what if I go like this? Ooh, some funky again. I see it. I'm just over there removing stuff, but not enough of them, I guess. All right. Do I actually have to put my parentheses in there then? Is that what I would have to do? What if I do that myself? And since it's a string, notice it didn't like make my parentheses all funky with that period and stuff. Let's just see what this does. It's figuring it out. Okay, so now we're a little bit closer. But I wanted a space here, right? And then another thing I want to do is to put a new line, let's say. And the new line would probably go after the parentheses right here, let's say. So till, just, you know, guess, keep guessing until you get it right, I guess. And messing with stuff like this. There we go. Now we have one more thing to do, right? I'll just hit Control RS again to get closer to where I want to be. And then notice right here, we have 1 space, 2 space, but the stupid space doesn't go there, right? So this little format command, this little mini language, we can now go put this in front of it, right? There we go. And now notice we could come over here and say like, we'll put like 7 here. And then let's go to here and put 8. And I don't know how to get around Emacs too well, so just, bear with me here. So yeah, now we can just sit there and add those however many we want in there. And the last one's always, always going to have spaces in between, but the last one won't. And that's inside the format command, which is like a little mini language. And loop is the same way. So like, I think like this is breaking the syntax that we normally see with Lisp with all these regular parentheses. This format, we started like doing like, curly brackets and squirrely brackets or whatever these things are called. And then now we're going to start doing commands that just look way different. Because if I want to say like plus 1, 2, right? So then I can say like plus, plus, so I can type plus 1, 2, and then like, maybe multiply, 4 and 3, and then, now come over here and subtract, from 10, 2, and then hit enter. There's just some kind of structure to this in a way, and at some point you get kind of used to the parentheses, no matter how you're typing them or whatever. But now we come over here and go mess with loop, and it doesn't look like Common Lisp or any Lisp anymore, right? So now we can say, I don't know if I can remember how to do a loop, but so we'll say loop for x in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, let's say, and then we'll just say do, and then you might have like, let's just put a do here. Just it doesn't matter if I have to do all this. It's just I want to do this, and the do is funky, right? There's no parentheses there. What? So print, do print, and then we'll just do x just to keep it kind of simple and see if it'll work. Okay. Now we did some little loop here, right? And it's just going to print these out, do print x. But this doesn't look like Lisp really. It doesn't look like Common Lisp or whatever, but it's a little language that someone made called loop inside, like, it's like a little mini language that you can do all kinds of funky stuff. I mean, maybe it's not even a little DSL, it's just what I think it is, where I'm coming from. And notice over here, this format structure was kind of doing the same thing. So this is kind of some kind of loop. So we're like, loop for, this and this and this inside this. It's basically what we just kind of did down here and printed this out. So, and maybe we could even look and see if one of those other prints, like I said there was a print C. So there we go. So see, there's a difference between print C. You can tell now because it's going through this loop. And so this is like for a do loop with a print C with a space and some stuff concatenated. All this stuff is coming up and kind of coming in here, and then still knows when to stop putting spaces there. Because if we get rid of this, then we wouldn't have the spaces. We would have the spaces at the end of here also. And so this is where you can see like where some of these different type of prints or something might mean something. So like if you wanted to put a space here, you might have to say like, print concatenate something or something. Print C, it might be like, I don't know, I have no idea. Concatenate. And then once again, get that over there. And we say like concatenate X with, like I don't know how it works. Bad thing to be a type 1 specifier. So anyway, I was just seeing that's not important because that's not what I'm trying to show off, right? I'm just saying, like, I don't have to know all that because I spent a little time to like try to figure out how this little format command is running. So there's going to be times when you want to do loops and stuff like that, and there's probably times when you want to use concatenate. But like if I can use format until I need to, like I don't know. But yeah, so I don't know. We can see if I figure it out, I guess. And then right here is saying result type rest sequences. I don't know what result type means. Maybe you have to like tell it whether it's a string or something. If I just say like test and cat. Bad thing to be a type specifier. So this here must be like a string. Like how I even tell it to be a string. Still the best way to do that, okay. So then if I say like space. Okay, so test cat. So now, if you were to do some like thing back over here, if we can figure this out now, because we did it a little bit, we had to say concatenate string, I guess. Maybe it would have worked earlier. And then I'd say like concatenate string, and I guess I'll do like, what's it spitting out? It's spitting out 1, 2, 3, 4. And I don't really want it to be on a separate line, so I'm gonna say like concatenate string, and I'm gonna put the X there, and then put like a space there, right? And once again, I'm just typing over these things. So now I'll say like print X string, and then I guess this one will have a space at the end, but we can't see it. And let's just do it like this and see. So the value of 1 is not type sequence. Oh. What if I say list? Can I just put them in the list? Type sequence. It's probably because it's numbers though, right? So I was trying to do it, well, you know, let's just simply put strings here. So I'm trying to show this for specific purposes, real purpose. And I have to figure all this other weird stuff out at the moment. That's good enough, right? Okay. So now it's printing those out. But now they're in parentheses for some reason, because of the list. So maybe I can get back and put them in string again. Kind of what I wanted to do to begin with. There we go. So, just, you know, keep in mind, like right here, we're doing all this little loop for A, B, C in this list or whatever. Do print C, concatenate. And then right here, we were having to like, you know, to put a new line here, we could probably just use a print there instead. So, and notice it's printing it out. And notice you can see these now. But, like, here's a loop to do this stuff versus now we have some funky format command that can kind of do some looping stuff too. So, I don't know. Just really, really interesting stuff sometimes Lisp is. There's something else I want to show, but I don't remember, like, when I was playing with it, how I was doing it. Maybe that was that enemy thing I was trying to talk about earlier. So, like if I have this, A, B, I want to do two of these. This is A, B, and then I had, you know, C and D. And we'll just do 3 with this. And do this, and then we have these guys sitting here, let's say. And so, oh yeah, what I want to do is a dotted list. So, So maybe we'll just say def var, because in this case, it doesn't matter if I use def var or def parameter. And now I'm going to say enemies. And I'm going to give it a list. And I'll just make my list to like enemy. Should I say enemies or enemy? Let's just do one enemy, because how do you even do this? And now I'm going to give it a list. And I'll say, and it doesn't have to be a dotted list here. There's just, you know, different ways to do this. But I want to say there's a reason to use a dotted list. Not a reason, but a reason you could use a lot of dotted lists. So we'll just say HP 100. And yeah, that's not the way I want to do it either. Sorry, I want to do it like this. HP dot 100. Just for the sake of it. And we'll just give it a string of dot. And we can even come over here and format this so they're in line. I don't think Lisp will care. But just when I'm typing it, maybe it like makes sense this way. We'll say like give a strength of 5, let's say. And does anything else matter? I don't know. Let's just see what happens. Def var enemy. So now if I type enemy, I have this sitting here, and it didn't matter if I put the space there, so it still has 1. And then now we're going to say like def var, just for the sake of saying this. We say ghost. And I just want these to be different, so HP, we'll give him 50. And right here we'll give him a string. We're going to give him, you know, ghost. Are they better or enemy? So we'll give him 10. Yeah, less health, but they're really tougher or something. Right. And so now we have ghost. And notice in Ghost, I specifically, because I know how to do this better, so I'm cheating a little bit. So in Ghost, or maybe I don't, but I'll try to figure it out. Ghost. So Ghost has this. So why would I want to use this? So if I say, I'm just going to use a ghost example first, even though I put enemy there first, because it's a broken list. And it might make more sense to use a regular list first. So we have our ghost sitting here. And let's say I want to get the ghost health. So if I type ghost, it's giving me back a list. And the list is, has two lists in it. One's HP and one's strength. And so if I get a list and I say first like I did before, but in this instance, let me just say first, car, 1, 2, 3, 4. Because if I explain this, I don't have to use it, maybe. And if I say cooter, or cooter, but I just say cooter usually. So the first one gives me the first item in the list, and the second one gives me everything but the item in the list. There's one called last. Which, I haven't used that one too much. But notice, the first one's the car is giving me not a list, it's just giving me an atom. And then this one right here is giving me a list. And then this one here is giving me a list, but it's only got one item in here. So there's these things act different. So if I took the car of the last of 1, 2, 3, then I would just get 3 now. Because I took the first thing and the other one. So car can be replaced with first. And so we can say first, 1, 2, 3. Right? It's the last, 1, 2, 3. And there's a way to get nth too, just so you know this. Nth, let's say 0, 1, 2, 3. And if we set nth, 2. So that could be useful in what we're fixing to do anyway. So if I go get the first, I'll just use first instead of car. The first, but I'm used to using car, so maybe it's better just to learn an easier way to do it. If I say first ghost, and I say first, you can say second also. There's another way to do it. Second, third, fourth. I think it only goes up to 9, maybe 10. 10th would be 10th. There's 10 of those that might work, so yeah, there's 10 of them. I don't think you can go any higher than that. So if you want to go higher than that, then we probably want to come over here and just say go forward 1, delete that word, and put nth, and then 11. We might have to come over here and add something before we see those. And then bam, so the 11th one was 3 or whatever. So, and remember this one, 10th is that, and 11th is that, because it's 0 based, right? If you go back over here, and then go over here and turn it to 0, that's why. It's first started first with car, and into 0 base, so there's a little bit difference in those, I guess. But anyway, so we'll go back over here where we were with our ghosts. First ghost, we say second ghost, right? And then we get back our strength. But if I said first ghost, now right here, I don't have the whole ghost here. The whole ghost is right here. So the first of the ghost is this, the second of the ghost is this. But the first of the first is going to get me HP now, right? So if I say first ghost, it's going to give me HP. Or maybe it doesn't, because ghost is not a function. See right here? I'm calling ghost as a function. So since I'm in pair edit still mode, I'm going to come over here and just hit control and left arrow. And then now I can just come over here and delete that. And it deletes the second one. Now if I come over here and do this, now I have HP, right? So now I can say first, second ghost. And now I get a strength. So if I say second, first ghost, oh, it gets fun here, right? Now I get the actual item I'm looking for at the moment. So I'll just say ghost again so we can see what it looks like. And so what I'm doing is I'm saying, grab me the first of ghost right here, right? And then grab me the second of that, which is right here. So it's going to say first of ghost, which we had up here, first of ghost, is what? HP 50. Now, second, the first of the ghost is, I'm going to take the first of the ghost right here, and I get HP 50, and the second thing in there is 50. So now I have a way that I know how to get to thing I made up, the structure. Like maybe you're messing with like object-oriented programming or different kind of whatever. I'm just, finding a way to mess with the stuff in a list because list, depending on how, if they're not that big, it doesn't really matter if you're using them or not, I guess. But there's cases where you're going to want to use vectors and other things because of the way this stuff was consing earlier, if you remembered. We were consing all this stuff inside this, cons 2 and then cons 3 and L, let's say, to make a list. And so if this is like, if it has 1,000 things right here and I want to add to the first of it, who cares? Because look right here. Who cares if I use Lisp in that aspect? Maybe I could have 1,000. I could be wrong, but I'm just guessing here, right? If I have a list with 1,000 things in it, is it bad to use a list with 1,000 things in there? Quite possibly. But maybe, just maybe, if I'm using a list and I want to add to the front of the list, it might not be as big a deal, right? Because look at what that returned. Cons, whatever comes over here and create a list for me, right? So now I can do the same thing it's doing, right? But now I can say cons, and then I can come over here and put a 0 here, and I'll give it that list. So what I'm saying is probably not a big deal for it to come over here and add this here. This 0, even if this was 1,000 things long, this 0 right here is adding to the front of the list. And you can see right here, if this was 1,000 numbers long, and I say, oh, I forgot to put the 0 there, and then I cons a 0 onto here, it just pushes everything over 1, which probably is not as bad as if I have 1,000 numbers sitting over here, and now I want to add, if I have 1,000, I want to add 1,001. Now it's probably bad to use a list because the way that Lisp is going through these things, you kind of see this con structure. It's building these lists. So probably for it to add way over here something to that in a list, it probably has to, go find this last element. So it had to go find 1,000 sitting way over here, right? And then add 1 to that. So this is when you probably don't want to use a list. You might want to use an array because array probably is faster to access that. But since I'm adding to the front of the list, who cares? And my little sample right here, it's tiny, so who cares about this? But just know there's different reasons to use different stuff, I guess. You might want to be using a vector or something. So now what we figured out, right? What we finally figured out is, I can say ghost HP and it's 50. So I know how to access my 50. It's inside my ghost. That's what I'm saying. So what's cool here is now let's just define a function. And let me just put this here just because it's the next thing that I type. It's easier to see it right there, right? So now we're going to define a function. And we'll say like, you probably want these to be more less generic maybe, but I'm going to make this one, or more generic, but I'm going to make this one specific because I'm trying to use 2 different lists. So I'm using a broken list the other way. So it doesn't matter, the structures I'm building are probably gonna have to change because one's a broken list and one's not. So right now we're doing it for the regular list. So I define a function. And so what we wanna do is we wanna get the actual number where that's at. So we can say get alter, what do we want? Let's just do it the Lisp way and type stuff out. Alter HP ghost or ghost HP. Alter HP ghost. Well, ghost is more important. I'd write it the other way, but because this is a specific function for the ghost, I'm just going to do it this way, let's say. It doesn't matter, right? I'm just making this stuff up. So we're defining a function, alter HP ghost, and we're going to give it an HP, let's say. We give it an HP. Let's say we're going to give it damage. So we're going to alter it by damage. And if it's a heal, we'll just make it negative or something on that. So we'll say alter ghost HP by the damage. And, I don't even know if this is going to work, but let's just try to figure out how we can mess with this. Because we already made, it's kind of annoying because I'm using global variables again. And because I started off not using them. Do I want to explain that? You're not supposed to use global variables, but I'm in the middle of an exercise, so tough. So here we go. next time I'll start out the right way because I already explained this in this one. But in this video, it's just about getting around Lisp a little bit. And then now, like, I don't even know, like, what was I doing? I messed up, right? So, because I didn't type anything. So, what was I saying? I was saying define, alter, let's just say alter ghost HP. Just pick a way and go with it. And then we said, like, I'm going to alter it by damage, let's say. So we're going to set F, set F, do I want it to be this ugly? Why not? Second, first, ghost, which I'm just copying, like I know what I want right here. This is what's interesting about this. I know what I want. It's just stupid 50 sitting there, right? So set F, and second, if we type that right, second, first, ghost, and then what I want to set it to is, second, first ghost. I'll set up the second, first ghost. I'll just put a new line so it's easier to see maybe. And I want to set that to, like I could just put 10 here for now, just to see if it's working correctly, right? And it doesn't look like it. Variable damage is defined and not used. Okay, so maybe I should define what the HP is first. Because you could do this all different ways, but this might just get uglier if I build it more like built on top of it. I kind of want it to be ugly just to show this, but let's just see if it can work this way. Set up the second, first, ghost, right? But we wanted to like do this minus. So, oh, where'd that go? See, here's this little per edit thing, like kind of like now where I want this to go. It looks like it went to the end. It doesn't matter where it was, as long as it's going back there, right? And so I'm going to subtract this, and then I'm going to go, like, where's this one? Just come here, type, there it is, right? And then maybe I'll put this in a new line. That makes more sense, or it doesn't, but we'll say, like, set up second, first, ghost, and no, I don't really want that on the, well, I could do it. I just almost prefer it on the other line. Do I need that much? I don't know. You tell me what's better, I guess. I guess it would have made more sense just for someone that doesn't understand what's going on here, maybe. If I did actually put it down here. It's easier to see. So what I'm trying to do, I don't know if this is going to work or not, is I'm going to try to take the second, first ghost, which is 50, which is second, first ghost right here. So, which is 50 right here is what I'm trying to get. Now what I'm saying is, you know, alter this HP by the damage. Set F. Now we're going to set F like def var. We're setting that variable. Second, first, ghost, which isn't really the variable. It's just this position right here, right? And now we're going to set it to the subtraction of second, first, ghost by whatever the damage is right here. So if I say ghost, now I should have built this different because I could just go access the HP. So maybe we could just like refactor this in a second, right? But I just want to see if this works because it lets us know if I'm even on the right idea of what to do here. So maybe I have to type out more of that stuff before it completes as easily. So alter ghost to HP. Right now it's 50, but I don't even have a way to like say, hey, what's my ghost HP without saying second, first ghost. So I should have just made that first and then built on top of it. So we'll just do this in a second, right? So alter ghost to HP, and then we're going to say by 10. So now it's 40, right? So what if it happens if I say ghost? So now my ghost has 40 HP. So it's just weird how I'm just saying second, first, ghost minus second, first, ghost by the damage I type in, which was 10. And then I sit here and mess with this thing. And this is how you can kind of mess with this inside the little proper list, right? Not a broken list, but a proper list. So now, this is kind of ugly looking right here, right? Because what's second, first, ghost mean? So over here, I knew what a ghost HP was, right? So what I could have done here is we just fix it. It's 40, who cares? It doesn't matter. This is Lisp, right? We just like keep on going. So now we're going to say defun, and I'm going to say defun ghost HP, right? Or maybe it should be HP ghost. For now, let's just do it this way because it's not generic for all my enemies. It's just this one ghost. We'd have to probably do it a little bit different. So we're going to say ghost HP doesn't take any arguments, let's say, or it doesn't need any parameters at the moment because it's specific to this. If I was making a generic, like get HP of all my things, then I would want to put something in here. And I'd say like character or whatever. But since one's going to be a property list and one's going to be a broken list, or one's going to be a list and the other one's going to be a broken list or dotted list, let's just call it a dotted list for now, then it's going to change a little bit. And so then here we'll just say what? We already did it right here. We know second first ghost. So ghost HP is second first ghost. So now we can say second first and put our ghost there, right? And now if we just say, it's a function here we created. So we're going to say ghost HP. And it doesn't take any arguments. So now we know the ghost HP is 40. So now we have our function already over here. And maybe we can even start typing it and see if this works. I don't know if this works in this particular way that Portacle is set up. But if I start typing defun alter, and then I hit Alt P, it's not doing my tab completion I want it to. There it is. See how it popped out? Finally, I got it to do it. So I just started typing it and I was able to get it by hitting Control or AP and AN, I guess. That's how I'm moving around in those. Now that I move my cursor, it probably won't work, so I'll try to make sure to check it next time. But now this right here doesn't need to be this anymore, right? Because second first ghost, what's that mean now? Second first ghost is right here, and what it means is ghost HP. So let's just take this out, and this time we're going to come right here to the front of this and hit Control K. Because when I Control K, because I'm in para-edit, if I wasn't in para-edit and I hit Control K, I'll just delete the rest of this line. But since I'm in para-edit mode right now, what I'm trying to do is get it to like delete from here to here, which I think it should do. Just think of it as like editing the branch of the parentheses or the tree structure of the parentheses, however you like would call that. So I hit Control K, and it didn't do what I thought it was going to do. Probably because the setf went further down. So what if I just come in here? I hit Control Q to undo that. Now I want to come in here and just do it in there. And then this right here left me something to work with. So setf ghost HP is what I was trying to do. So setf ghost HP. Same thing here. Ghost HP. Minus the damage we're putting in, right? So let's see what's wrong with this. So now it's saying ghost HP. Oh, you know what? Ghost HP is not a function. But is that what it told me? Yeah, let star fun call blah 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 undefined function. Ghost HP. Uncompilation or compilation undefined function set up ghost HP. So we have a ghost HP, but it's a function, right? Maybe this is why like Lisp 1 people don't like Lisp 2 type idea, because if I would have named this something different than ghost HP, maybe it would be more obvious at the moment that this wasn't a function. So once again, I'm just going to come where the G is, and Control left arrow, get rid of that, and then I'm going to come over here, something here, Control left arrow. Oops. I want it to be right here, right? And now I can get rid of those. Oops, sorry about that. Hold on, I got a cough. All this talking. I'm not used to talking so much. So, is it gonna work? I don't know. Ghost HP. It's just not liking this. I did tell you to do a ghost HP earlier up there, right? But you know I'm using ghost HP as a function up there. Maybe ghost HP doesn't need to be a function. Is that what I'm doing wrong? Do I want my ghost HP to be a function? There's no reason for it to be a function. But why isn't this working? Might be because of that. So, if I come over here and I say describe ghost HP, Now, if you're working in a file and you're making these mistakes, you can just come over here and change this stuff, right? But because I'm in this REPL, I can just reload it. Like if I was sitting inside of here in a text file and typing all this stuff in the text file and compiling it every time, or copying it over here every time, then maybe I wouldn't be running into this because I could just reload my file and I reload the whole file. When I reload the file, it fixes all my variables and stuff, right? And it doesn't matter because it's a Lisp 2. I can keep going. But let's just say that it's really bothering me that I created this ghost HP freaking function sitting here. And I don't want it to be a function. And maybe I do, and I just don't know I do, but I don't think I want it to be a function, right? Because it's just getting this ghost HP. I kind of want this to be more like more like a variable, I want to say. And there's ways to get around stuff like this or do whatever you want, but I'm just trying to show. So I want to say Mac it up, Control G to get rid of that, right? So I want to say Mac unbound, man. Can't talk because it says Mac unbound. So I guess it's like short for make unbound. And then I want to say ghost HP. And probably before I do this, I want to show here too. Like, can I tab complete that to go away? There we go. So ghost HP right here, I say describe ghost HP. Here's a symbol. And then right here's the compiled function. So what I'm trying to do is to get that right there to get out of there. And maybe I can't put this right here. Ooh. And then now if I describe it again, let's see if it got rid of that junk. No, it did not, right? It's still there. So there's another one I can try. Unintern. I'm going to say ghost HP. And then now I'll try to describe it. Did that do anything? Okay. So that kind of got rid of it, right? So now I'll see that function stuff. That's all I wanted to do. And then now I want to say, like, what is it? Second. So second first ghost. That's how we're getting this HP. So now I want to say, like, def var. And maybe I'll use it this way, the correct way, because I'm using a HP here. And then now my variables now got the earmuffs around it, which means it's a special variable, which means it's basically a global variable. And then I'm going to put second first ghost HP. Oh, did I get rid of ghost HP too? I'm trying to make ghost HP. First ghost HP. But I don't, the ghost was not a different ghost. It's not what I want anyway, right? Or is that how I spell ghost? I forgot how to spell ghost all of a sudden. I don't know why it's not working, but I'll try it one more time. Ghost. The variable ghost is unbound. Guess ghost by itself. Do I have a ghost by itself? Right, I do. So if I say second, first, and ghost. What's I doing wrong there? I don't understand. Oh, devvar. Like if I would read the actual errors telling me maybe. Devvar. It says variable ghost HP is unbound. So like this error sometimes, like, dude, like, don't tell me that. But I should get a hint, like it's saying variable ghost HP is not bound. Yeah, I know it's not unbound because I'm trying to bind it right now, right? So it's kind of giving me a hint, but I just wasn't catching. Like I would like it to say, hey, def var, blah, 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 but, you know, I don't know how to make it say that. There's probably reasons why it doesn't, but because it never got that far or something. Because a lot of times it seems that it's reading backwards. So what I was doing wrong was I was like saying dev var instead of def var. So now if I say ghost HP, geez, man, if I just type HP, well, there we go. You don't have to type that much. That's what happens when you just use tab completion all the time, right? So now it's doing what I wanted it to do, and ghost HP gives us this. Now somewhere we were defining a function that said alter, right? So I'll try to do this again. Define alter, and then hit Alt P. Yes, like maybe I have to hit like tab that out and hit Alt P. There we go. So tab out the rest of that, hit Alt P. And it kind of brings me back to what I was trying to do a second ago. So now I'm saying like, define alter ghost HP, give it some damage, and then set f ghost HP, which now is going to be the little earmuffs because I'm going to start doing it correctly because it's global. And then right here, I want to minus this. Once again, I want to put my earmuffs there. So here I'm trying to say, I don't know if it's going to work, but let's just see. Define alter ghost HP, so I'm defining a function. Going to give it some damage, and then what I wanted to do is take set f and set ghost HP to ghost HP minus whatever damage I put right here. And then if I hit enter, it's telling me this, right? So now let's try this again. And this time we're going to say ghost HP. And ghost HP is 40. And then we're going to say, okay, now what I want to do is I want to alter the ghost HP by 20 damage now. Let's just say we did a critical hit on it. Now it's 20. So if I look at ghost HP is 20. So that's how we use a list, which is ghost. It's got a list with two lists inside it. So one list with two lists inside it. And we use ghost list to come over here and mess with this. Now, notice that I'm no longer messing with ghost here. I'm messing with ghost HP now. So this value right here didn't change, while the ghost HP did change, right? Because I'm using this over here. So now if I was to come over here to ghost itself, like I would have to redefine all this stuff. So ghost, because there's no ghost like this now. So if I was to say ghost, I probably need to stop this video soon. It's getting so long. Even though how long I've been talking. It's giving me this, but when I said ghost HP, it got this information from here, right? But it's no longer altering it like I would want it to be doing. So it'd probably be better if I just went back and set that global variable back over there to be used also. Where I could use that ghost. Probably what I shouldn't have done was use set f to do that like that and left it as a function to I call that information and get it over here. But anyway, just trying to show that like the way that some of the stuff will work and how you can set all this different stuff up just by building it up and going back and changing all this stuff inside the REPL the entire time without even like right now when I turn this off, then all this code's gone. Except I can also say like right now I can save this image. So I say this is an image, and then when I come back, I can run this image instead of opening up a blank one. And then all my stuff's going to be inside there, right? But I close my image down, and then when I open it back up, it's going to be my program sitting in here, but it's going to be the image running. Like, who's to say, like, now that Emacs is closed, I can't even see the source code to it anymore, right? So the other thing to notice, too, is if I say, this little thing, a tutorial thing I'm going through, I'll make a better one with the property list and the broken list. It's just, this is so long already. And, I'm just like learning as I go type of deal. So I'll try to like record all this stuff. But I guess now we can describe our function. And maybe we could do like the alter one. Alter ghost HP, there we go. And then now we can see that the function's compiled sitting right here like I was talking about. So now you gotta wonder if this is compiled. Can I disassemble this? So we can say like, ooh, can I not disassemble? Oh, there it was. Just had to type that other thing a little longer maybe. And now maybe, like, do I have to make it look like a function? Okay, so now we can see the assembly basically. So here's the assembly code that our stuff is compiled to. You can see the assembly code that this Common Lisp is using to do the stuff that I just did. So when I alter it, this is the assembly going. And I don't know like if the def var like ghost, but this ghost isn't a function. So is that a symbol? Is that assembly or whatever? Like, can that be disassembled? I mean, I just must not know how to spell that word. It's because it's only one A. Is that what it is? Okay, it's one S. And what if I just put ghost here? I don't know what's gonna happen with ghost. Ghost HP. Like, there's nothing saying that this is even. If I have ghost HP, it's not a type function. Yeah, so it's not even like, now I don't know if I could say like compile this model right now and then try to do something, but so far like I haven't really had a reason to come in here and mess with the assembly part. I just wanted to show that. But anyway, I'm gonna cut it off right here. I don't even know if this video is working. I don't even know if it's like good enough quality to read because I was just playing that video game earlier at Polyblisty. I was playing Polyblisty, not at full screen. And now I'm at full screen, so I'm hoping that I can record better now that I'm not, now it's not like a game or some video or something playing right there. It's just a bunch of text. So hopefully this recording actually came out after sitting here rambling for a while, just to see if I can make a video. But anyway, I'll catch you next time and hopefully keep messing with Lisp and try to learn it and just document what I'm doing as I go. So maybe someone out there can learn to play with it too. Anyway, thanks.